Okay, so I need to talk about the Amazing Digital Circus episode 7. Before I do, there are a few things I need to say. Number one, it is very cold right now. As I was driving over here to the lake in my little nook where I like to record, it was 19 degrees. When I stopped my car, it was 15 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. That's partially why I have a hood up, just to slightly try to keep myself warm. Also, I think it's helping to mitigate the glare a little bit, so we'll see. I'm also just gonna say I might be a bit less animated than usual. Like, I got my hands in my coat pockets just to try to stay warm. But I don't know, at some point they're probably gonna come out because I talk with my hands. And I'll also go ahead and say, I'm assuming if you clicked on this video that you are caught up on Amazing Digital Circus, including episode 7 and / or you don't care about spoilers. I will try. I think the roadmap I want to do is kind of go scene by scene or like chunk by chunk of the episode. I will try to not spoil stuff later on in the episode just in case, but there will be times where I probably do. So you have been warned as to that. Sorry, I tried to say warned, and I think it did come out as warmed. It's a Freudian slip, because like I said, very cold. And the last thing I think I need to say before I start, I have watched the episode twice. I watched it Friday night, and then I watched it Saturday morning, which is not super uncommon. I usually watch an episode twice. But I think this was the first time I didn't enjoy an episode on a blind watch. And there's a few reasons why. But as I was watching it, almost the entire episode, it's like something feels off. Like, I don't know, there's something just like about the writing itself and the vibe of the episode that just isn't clicking. It's just kind of not doing it for me. And I was wondering, I was like, okay, so, if I watch it again, am I going to have that same feeling? Like, I want to sleep on it and I don't want to watch it again. So I watched it yesterday morning, and I did enjoy it more the second time around, but I'm still not quite sure that I liked the episode. There are things in it that I liked quite a lot, but I think it really comes down to the ending. Because for me personally, and I do think I'm in the minority here, to me the ending just didn't work. Emotionally, for me it fell flat. So with all that being said, let's get to it. So starting with the start, you've got Kane. You have Kane in the Chinese room. So I'll try to just like label each scene. I gotta take my hands out. It's cold, but like it feels weird being like constrained like that. So you have Kane in the Chinese room, and him telling everyone, hey, there's no adventure today. Just kind of go do whatever you want. I'm gonna go to the store and make my famous milk and cigarette casserole. And I won't lie, the joke of like them reading the letter and like you hear his voice because he's narrating the letter because he didn't leave yet, that made me laugh. I appreciated that. But the whole like Chinese room bit didn't really do it for me on a first viewing. I have looked into it since, and I now understand that it's specifically a computer joke. And so, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I think that's kind of fun. It's a very... the hand's got to go back in. That's cold. I think it is a thematically, like, appropriate... I don't want to say appropriate. Like, that makes it sound like it's almost like a censorship thing. But, like, not like that. But, like, I like the joke thematically. But without the context, I was like, this is... I don't know. This is okay. It just... something feels weird. And I think the best way I can describe it is Kane felt canier than usual in that scene. And I don't really know how else to articulate it, but it was almost like right from the word go. It was like Kane feels a little, not out of character, but almost like a little too much even for him. this feels a little off, and I don't know why. Then we hit the beach, and okay. I didn't laugh at most of the humor in the beach scene, which is most of the humor in the episode. Because while there's like maybe a few jokes after that, the episode is pretty straight-laced, and I don't mind that. But like, for example, when you have the shrimp NPC, just be like, I'm the shrimp, like, as the shrimp NPC, and then just like stopped. I just didn't find that particularly funny. It didn't hit me the way that disappearing guy hit me with, oh, sick, and then just disappeared. I still think that's possibly the funniest joke in the show. It was like, I knew exactly the joke they were setting up, and it still makes me laugh every time. But like, that one just, like, didn't do it for me. I thought, like, the sun was, like, pretty funny and okay. The fish. I think the fish is when I knew I was not going to get into this episode. What was that? Now, my understanding, in hindsight, because I didn't know, like, I recognize the voice. I don't know his name. I think it's, like, Zach something, and, like, Serpalo, I think is the other one, which I know Serpalo from the Spooky Month video, and I know Zach from Smiling Friends, that's Charlie. And Zach has a very distinctive voice. And genuinely, I think it is a good voice for comedy. And I'm sorry if that sounds mean if you're like, hey, I think you have a really funny voice. But, like, he does. And I kind of really like that. But because it's so distinctive, like, I heard him talk and immediately was taken out of what I was watching. Because, like, for me, it felt like less of a, oh, like, he's here. Like, that's kind of neat. I appreciate the cameo. And it was more of a, wait, what's he doing here? What's going on? It's like when Ed Sheeran showed up in Game of Thrones. Like, yeah, like, from what I remember, like, he has, like, one little scene with Arya. He plays it straight. He plays it fine. It's not like, oh man, this is such a bad scene or like bad acting. It's just, what is Ed Sheeran doing here? Because this is someone that, like, I don't want to say I know, but this is someone I recognize in real life, and this is taking me out of this. That was how that moment felt to me with the fish. And I also just did not find the bit funny. I don't know if I want to say it felt forced. I don't think that's quite the case, but it just didn't work. In hindsight, I can appreciate it a little bit more because I feel like it's supposed to be foreshadowing for what happens later on in the episode. But at the same time, the episode has plenty of that already. I like, the extra thematic foreshadowing is, like, nice, but I'm like, you know, I don't think it was worth just how weird that felt. And for me, like, Circus is a weird show, and it embraces that. But for me, usually, like, it's a really fun weird or an interesting weird, like the scene in Jax's room, which I can't wait to get to here in a bit. But I was like, what are we doing here? And that's not a good sign. But there were a couple things at the beach that I really liked. Number one, Zooble drawing Jax's face on the melon. Like, that was a joke that got me. I really liked that. And the scene between Zooble and Jax, where Zooble just throws a bucket of water on him, and he's just like, yeah. And you can just, like, feel his energy of, like, I'm already really, really close to the end of my rope, and you made it a lot easier to, like, finish tying the noose. How can I help you today? But it's because, yeah, sorry. What I really like about that moment is, number one, I love how much Zooble hates Jax. Like, this is one like, she's kind of, sorry, but like, they're like the anti-Pomni, where Pomni's like, I want to give you a chance, I really want to try, and maybe in a way like the anti-Ragatha as well, who's someone who's very kind. And not to say that Zooble's mean, because like, look at how they are with Gangle. Like, I really like Zooble, but it is that sense of, I'm not going to put up with your shit. I have had to deal with you for who knows how long, and I've seen the way you treat my friends. I really don't like you, and if you're gonna take any opportunity to screw with me, I will take any opportunity to screw with you. If you can dish it out, you can take it. But they also kind of offer him almost an olive branch, where they can kind of tell that, like, okay, like, something is off. And so she brings up to her, sorry, I keep saying she, but Zooble brings up to him, if you're having problems, you can talk to people. You can talk to people that you trust. You know, you kind of just have to find those people. Yeah, you know, I didn't like my body. I didn't like how much it could change, how it didn't feel, I don't know what the word I want is, but like, it didn't feel like me. It didn't feel right. But, you know, maybe change isn't such a bad thing. I kind of like the idea that I can be more adaptable, more flexible. Maybe, like, almost like maybe you can do the same. Like, you can change who you are, Jax. You don't have to be this loner asshole. And Jax, as he do, rejects the offer and he leaves. Then we get to Jax's room. This is easily my favorite moment of the entire episode. So, number one, Jax abstracting, or almost like attempted abstraction. What a trip, just visually. Like, I felt like I was in a Madoka Witch's realm, but also, no, like, is just kind of what I was saying when I was watching. Like, this is just a Madoka Witch's realm. I feel like I took something, or someone took something when they made this. This is, like I said, like, this whole episode is, like, weird. But this is the kind of weird I've come to almost, like, expect and really enjoy. I loved all the colors. I loved the imagery. That moment, though, before, when Jax is sitting on his bed, and, like, you got this wall of pictures, and then he flips one over because they're all turned over so we can't look at them, and it's him, Ribbit, and Kaufmo. And they're all, like, holding, like, some cocoa, and there's a bit later on in the episode where he's looking at this one adventure of them in, like, a winter world, and I think it's, like, there's almost kind of an implication that, like, this might have been their last adventure together, or that this is, like, one of his last few good memories was of the three of them here. And then he looks over at the wall, and there's this hole in the wall, and then Ribbit's hands just scuttle out. And that was creepy as hell. I think when that happened, I audibly went like, nah, oh no, like, I am not about this. What is going on? What I have thought up until that, kind of this episode, but like this whole moment with Jax, is that abstraction is, it's kind of it's not just like death, because in a sense they're kind of still alive. I have always interpreted it as it is a metaphor for just like mental illness. Specifically, it's like, it's when someone just goes crazy, they lose themselves. You're like, you could kind of, you couldn't hold on to yourself anymore. This scene recontextualized it for me that abstraction is suicide. Because the whole scene, to me, came across as someone, like I was kind of saying earlier, at the end of their rope. And not wanting to go on anymore. And having that thought kind of creeping in and seducing them. And using like bright colors, images of your friends, and this overall sensation of peace. Because I could be wrong, because this might have happened in the last episode, but I think this is the first time I saw Jax smile. Not his like full teeth smile, but like a genuine looked happy. Because as he's abstracting and he's moving forward, and it looks like he's about to like ascend this staircase, like he's got his eyes closed, and he's just smiling like, I can be at peace. Finally, I'm good. I'm okay. And what snaps him out of it is someone coming in to check on him. Now, granted, Pomni isn't there to just be like, hey, Jax, are you all right? It's more of a, hey, like, there's some stuff going on. Kind of wanted to talk to you. You might be able to help. But when Jax almost tries to immediately go back into it, she does reach out again, like, hey, like, I thought maybe you wanted to, like, be a part of this. And he does. And it reinforces that scene with her and Kinger in episode 3, which is, you know, like, the worst thing you can do in this circus is make someone feel, like, alone or unwanted. Because I do think that is what the show is about. You know, aside from, like, I almost said Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, which happened yesterday where I was talking to Clay about it. I was like, dude, this was the can from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. He's like, what are you talking about? I meant I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I said the wrong title, my bad. But, like, aside from being I Have No Mouth and, like, yeah, being inspired by that, I do feel like thematically this series has always been about reaching out to people and making them feel seen. And I really like that. It's just, especially in the context of this scene. It's also worth noting that when you look at Jax's room, like, it's dark because he doesn't have the lights on, but, like, the walls look very kind of pink, and there's, like, rainbows and stars. I think there was, like, a little tea party set. Like, it looks very feminine. And I remember watching episode 5. Yeah, it's episode 5. Where it's like he's in the maid outfit. And he was mad about the maid outfit. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I get it. Like, you know, it's a little embarrassing. But he's taking it really personally. Especially when people are like, oh, yeah, you look really good in that. And then when it's evil Jax, who's, you know, a lot more, like, demure and very, like, shy and all of that, how much he hates him. And I do remember thinking, like, is that, like, I don't know if this applies to everyone or just Jax in particular. Is this just, like, specifically the person he really is? But, like, he masks it so hard. Because I think it is also in that episode where he's like, look, I'm, like, peak masculinity. I think he's talking about his tail as, like, it's, well, I don't remember what he called it. It was, like, the embodiment of, like, the masculine idea. It was something like that. Like, okay, yeah, that is something he is very, very sensitive about. I don't know, it was just, like, something else I had noticed. Like I said, that was probably just my favorite part of the episode. Then we get to the Chinese room. And we get to the mannequin. Like I said, I am already assuming you've watched the episode. We're going beat by beat. This is where I really cannot talk about the episode without just going super into spoilers. And just, like, not just spoiling the scene, but the rest of the episode. So, there is a mannequin, and I do believe I've seen him a few times. There was an episode, I don't know if it was the end of, like, episode 6, maybe it was the end of episode 1, but I remember there was an episode that just ended with this mannequin in the circus, like, watching everybody. So he has shown up before. And he explains that I am another player. I was stuck in this, like, mannequin NPC body. And because of that, Kane has not noticed me. And it's allowed me to do a lot of recon on my own, get a lot of information. I am one of the people who programmed the circus. Kinger is someone that worked with me. Let's just say Kinger knows what he did. And because of that, I don't want to talk to him. I don't feel comfortable facing him. I would rather talk to all of you first. But I think I know a way out. Kane will commit to the bit of not knowing what's in the Chinese room. So if we want to talk strategy, that's where we do it. Because he will not spy on us in there. So they go into the room, and he gives the whole spiel. You've got CNA Industries. I don't remember if he said Industries. I think he did. But, like, CNA is a company. They have people up in pods uploading their mines here. First, they started with their employees, and they started expanding. So anyone who comes into the area, they just put them in a pod. I was one of those employees. They put me in when I started asking too many questions. Kane is an AI, obviously. His job is to keep your mind occupied. Not to keep you happy, not to keep you safe, but to keep you busy. And then it was also after that, it's what we have to do is we need to get the key to his office and administrator privileges, and then we should be able to leave. He also tells them, because Kane is an AI, if we leave, we are leaving him behind and we are leaving him alone. He also tells them, my name is Abel. That is a lot. And once this starts happening, and he starts giving all this lore, and a lot of it is very consistent with a lot of fan theories. There's a part of me that's like, okay, they've done a lot of groundwork. They've done a lot of, like, foreshadowing, like putting stuff in the background. Okay, so maybe this is all coming to fruition. There's also a non-zero chance that this is bullshit. I've got a healthy amount of skepticism here. That was until he had brought up, if we leave, Kane gets left behind. The moment he said that, I said, okay, this is all a setup. Because as we saw at the end of episode 5, excuse me, not episode 5, episode 6, it was the end of the last one. Kane like almost started abstracting. Kane was very not happy when he realized no one voted for me. Like, no one likes me. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, like, Kane feels off earlier in the episode. Like, he's a bit Kanier than usual. If he's, like, doing a bit, that makes sense. If he feels that all of his friends, quote unquote, don't like him, I could definitely see him pulling this. Like, okay, guys, I'll give you a way out, but if you take it, you leave your dear friend Kane behind. And, like, none of you would do that, right? Of course you wouldn't. Of course my friends wouldn't leave me behind. Right? Let me find out. So he says it once, and I think it's Zooble who immediately just does not care and just asks more questions. And I think he gives a couple more answers, and then he repeats it. Kane would get left behind. Like, okay, you've doubled down on this. Like, saying it once, I guess I'll say this. Like, the first time I heard it, I was like, okay. I'm now, like, a lot more convinced that this is a bit, and Kane's behavior earlier kind of falls into place, and this makes sense with what happened at the end of the last episode. When he repeated it a second time, not long after, I realized this is 100% a bit. I do not believe this for a second now. Then they ask for his name, and I even said out loud, because I was watching it with Clay, because I normally watch it when it premieres. I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for Clay to come home. We'll watch it together. That also means I can just, like, play Stellar Blade instead of just, like, sitting idly and waiting. Like, I've got something I really want to do, because the game is super fun. But anyways, I audibly said out loud, like, if this motherfucker says his name is Abel, and then he does, like, my name is Abel. I'm like, I actively paused the video. I was like, okay, Clay. Like, I can hear your gears turning. Mine are clearly turning. Let me just say it here. This is a bit. This is all bullshit, because that is the exact name Kane would pick if he was, like, being another person. Or it's like, all right, I have to do a whole thing with another NPC. If I'm Kane, the other one's going to be Abel. At that point, there was no doubt in my mind that this was a bit. So, getting into the next chunk of the episode, which is a lot of scenes, but it's basically everything up to Kane's office. Okay, I'm feeling a bit more animated now. Maybe I'll be able to warm up. The rest of the episode, how do I say it? It just felt like, okay, there's a bit, I think the best way I can describe how I feel about the next chunk is basically with a line Kane had at the start of the episode, where he's doing his Chinese room bit, and Zooble says, oh, what is it that they said? They're kind of like, so what's the joke? I don't get it. And Kane goes, like, shush, you're making the joke take longer. That's kind of what the next chunk of the episode felt like to me. I'm like, the jig is already up. I already know exactly where this is going. This is just making it take longer. Because I don't think I really got into that next chunk. Like, you've got Jax and Kane having dinner, which was fine. Like, I didn't find it particularly funny. Again, Kane was being canier than usual. I was like, yeah, this is a bit. Also, just the fact that as part of Kane's adventure and his plan to prove that his friends love him, he specifically puts into the plan that one of them has to ask him out on a date and learn more about him so he can talk to them. And I don't know, there's something really funny and really sad about that at the same time. But yeah, just that whole bit where, like, Jax has his hand in Kane's mouth, like, what are you doing there, bud? Have I ever told you it's my dream to get eaten by you? I don't know, that's a weird thing to want to ask. I'm like, like, I feel like I'm supposed to be laughing here, and I, like, kind of am, but, like, that bit was, like, kind of whatever, but I was almost excited, because the way they were kind of framing it, like, okay, like, Jax, you're good at getting keys, this is what you gotta do. I'm like, oh, okay. They're almost framing this like a heist, and I love a good heist, so here we go. Like, this is what Jax is gonna do, and then, like, Zooble and Gangle are gonna do something. Actually, they literally do nothing and don't contribute to this, like, heist plan at all. Oh. Well, that's disappointing. Oh, but here's what Ragatha and Pomni are going to do. Actually, they don't really do much either. They just kind of take a walk with Abel, and he, like, gets the admin passes. Oh, so this really wasn't framed like a heist. It was, yeah, it's got to go back in. It's cool. It's like, this wasn't really a heist. It could have been. That could have been, like, really cool and really fun. They didn't go in that direction. What we essentially have are the characters talking about the situation, which is not a bad thing, and expressing their own doubts. Both in a sense of, this feels too good to be true, in a sense of, the way Abel talks about Kinger is raising some red flags. Because there's a lot about Kinger we don't know, but we trust him. Excuse me. And also just their doubt about, is this real? Like, can we really trust this guy? Here's why I don't like that. It's a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, number one, I always want to have characters like talk about that kind of stuff. I want to hear them talk about their thoughts. I want to hear them talk about their feelings. But I think that's my issue. Is the only feelings I was really getting in that moment is just the, I don't know how much I can trust this, and not the, I'm really, really excited to get out of here. This is what I want to do when I get home. This is what I want to do when I see my family. Because no one talked about any of that in this episode. I think the closest we get is Jax kind of jokes at Zooble. It's like, why are you so excited? Like, you have someone that's waiting for you? Yeah, don't you? And then Jax gets really quiet. Or Zooble and Gangle, with Gangle being like, hey, are we still going to be friends when we're out of here? Yeah, like, of course. And like, that I loved. Like, I did like those moments. But I think for me, what I'm trying to get at here is, it felt like they were really, really, really hammering in the sense of paranoia and maybe we shouldn't trust this, while I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I already don't. I already can tell you where this is going, so you don't really need to hammer this in for me anymore. And number two, once you get to that ending, and it is confirmed, yeah, this was all bullshit, instead of feeling that sense of, like, betrayal and shock, I was just feeling, yeah, I figured this out, 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago? What took y'all so long? And I think if that chunk in between the Chinese room and Kane's office, if I really felt that excitement about wanting to go home, it would have made that ending hit the way I think it was supposed to. The way it seems to have hit for a lot of people, because I've seen a lot of reactions online, which just seemed, the common thing just seems to be like, what the hell was that? But it seems to be in a good way. Like, man, that hit me hard and I wasn't ready for it. Whereas for me, it was just, yeah, what was that? Like, what were we doing with this one? Once we get to that last chunk and we're in Kane's office, even then, like, I'm almost starting to feel the excitement, and that's mostly just from that, like, one scene with Gangle and Zooble, which is less of like, man, we're super excited to leave, and almost more of a, like, I'm just a little worried that things won't be the same. Like, Kinger, we really don't get much from Kinger in this episode. I don't, like, aside from everyone holding hands, like, I didn't really feel it. The only one I really felt that emotion with was Jax. But that was the opposite, because it's very, very clear throughout this entire scene, Jax doesn't want to leave. And I was saying to myself, if they pass this test, it is because of Jax. Because he's the only one who very clearly doesn't want to leave. I don't think he's going to be like the only one who stays because this is a bit. But he might be the only one who's like spared Kane's wrath, like however this goes. So once they get to the console and I see the two buttons, I'm like, oh, okay, Jax is hitting the button. 100% he is hitting the button because he does not want to leave. And that is what happens. He gets these flashbacks and they're live action and they're like really quick. It's of like it's first person of someone going down a driveway and then of someone driving down what looks like kind of like a country road with some like some trees and shit in the background. And as they're driving and it looks like, you know, kind of very frantic, you can see like other headlights coming toward them. So there's a lot to take from that. It is very possible that everyone here is sorry, let me try that again. Let me try to form words. It's possible that everyone is dead and that these are brain scans, like a soma situation, or that they're on life support. And I don't know if they were all in the same accidents. I would heavily doubt that because they've been there at different times, like with Pomni being so much later than everyone else. So I would assume Pomni just got injured, maybe doing her, like going to abandoned buildings. Someone found her, and then she was put on life support with everyone else. Oh, no, sorry. I got distracted to see some hummingbirds flying outside. That's really pretty. I do remember at episode 4 where when Gangle takes off her mask and like starts dancing, then she's getting hit by an oncoming car. And I'm now wondering, like, is that foreshadowing? Like, were she and Jax in the same accident? Were other characters in that accident as well? Because I don't know the order. I believe it's Kinger was there before anyone else, and I assume Queenie was there with him. I think Rags says she was there before Jax. And I think Jax was supposed to be next, but I could be wrong. And between Gangle and Zooble, I'm definitely not sure on the order there. But, I had something else I was going to say about that. I'm sorry. I had something and then I lost it. But, I will say, tell you what, I'm going to get a drink of water and then I'm going to try to recenter my thoughts. Okay. I think what I was trying to say is whatever exactly happened in these like live action flashbacks, Jax is getting severe PTSD. So that's when he hits the button. And the way it feels is he is like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a lot of trouble talking right now. Jax already doesn't want to leave. That was the vibe that I had. These flashbacks, to me, are reinforcing to him, I have nothing to go back to. Whether it's because he has some kind of traumatic life, whether because maybe he was driving and he killed somebody, like, I'm going to be going to jail. If there was someone that he really cared about who died in that car accident with him, or because, no, like, I know I'm actually dead, or I know that I'm on life support, so, like, I'm in a coma. There's kind of nothing I can do here. I can't go back. When he hits the button, Kane shows up and like, congratulations! And it's just like the fucking pose he's in when he spawns. It's like almost like DDD's. He's like, you picked the good ending. Like, where you'd rather stay with me than go back. And like that was fun. It was awful, but it was fun. And everyone's just shocked. What is happening reaction. Jax like, I was right? And losing his mind. As I think it was either Goose or Kovac who had said, yeah, Jax's like crash out in episode 6 was not his best performance. They might have been referring to just that moment where he's laughing and losing it, which I don't know if I would say, like, I that moment in episode 6 might still be unbeaten for me, but this was like phenomenal. And after he's done with his laughing fit, he says that Kane is a liar. He's like, dirty liar, you scumbag, you messed with my mind. Like, you said you don't have control over people's minds, but you clearly do. There's the vegan thing, there is the stupid sauce, and Pomni brings up, yeah, the fact that none of us can remember our names. Because I did rewatch that bit in episode 1. He said, the only thing I don't have control over is your mind. Which, it doesn't necessarily say that it's like, yeah. It sounds like he does not have full control over a person's mind, but yes, he can influence them. Which is something he even says. He's like, yeah, like, I can use modifiers to make an adventure more interesting, but I can't really mess with your mind without something bad happening, which leads to King, you're going like, scratch the first abstraction. And Kane immediately freaks out and leaves, which to me sounded like either, number one, there was someone named Scratch who abstracted, and they were the first person to do so, and that person is Kane? So it could be that Kane was human, completely lost his mind, again, like possibly like committed suicide in the circus, but instead of dying or becoming one of those like monsters, he became Kane and kind of took it over. Or it implies that Kane causes abstraction, which I think is kind of the more likely thing that they're hinting at here. And that it's, if he starts messing with a person mentally, that's when they're done. And I don't know if it's like Kane can cause abstraction, but how do I want to say this? Jax was clearly abstracting in the episode, but the process didn't finish. And I don't know if it's the process didn't finish because Pomni interrupted it, or if it's because, yeah, Kane didn't finish the job. Or if the whole thing with Ribbit, like, was that Kane messing with him? Or was that Jax just being mentally done and mentally gone and Kane had nothing to do with it? It could be a Kane can cause abstraction, but not that he always does. I don't know. But that is the note the episode ends on. Like, Kinger says that Kane freaks out, gives them a gift basket, leaves, with them all just staring blankly at the screen. And I saw a meme, and it was like of that moment with the audio from the end of Not What He Seems from Gravity Falls. Immediately cut by like yeah, time for a Disney Channel dance party. Like, I was laughing so hard at that edit. It was gold. One thing I think I should note is during Jax, like, accusing Kane, where he tells, like, you messed with my mind. Kane's reaction to that is like, no, what? And I find that interesting. Kane, to me, it didn't feel like someone who's trying to cover their ass when you're like, wait, what are you talking about? It seemed like a genuine, wait, what? What are you talking about? No, I didn't. And I don't know if Jax is saying, you messed with my mind earlier, like during that whole abstraction moment and like showing me Ribbit, or if he's saying, you messed with my mind when you were showing me those flashbacks. I'm not sure. Because at first I thought he was just saying that, like, you messed with my mind by giving me those flashbacks. But I'm like, maybe not. Maybe he is talking about the other thing. Maybe both. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just not really sure. And again, that's kind of just how I feel about the episode in general. There are things I like about it. Like, I think most of them are kind of like shorter and more subtle, but there are some of those like emotional human connection moments, mostly involving Zooble, that I really like in this episode. The entire sequence in Jax's room, I think, is fantastic. And yeah, well, the Chinese room joke didn't like work for me on a first viewing. I now understand it. I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's pretty funny. And then like thematically, I get the fish thing because I think it is supposed to be a representation of Cain and Abel, with Cain being the Charlie fish, just going like, hey, there's this thing you really want. It's my treasure. Like, it's being able to leave and to escape. But you're gonna have to be better than that to get it. Okay. But like, there was no treasure to begin with. And Abel being the one who always tells lies. But like I said, the bit as a whole didn't work for me. And even that like foreshadowing, like, well, there was plenty of foreshadowing within the episode already. Kind of didn't need it. I didn't even go over all of it. Like, to me, the fact that I had even said this is like the fact that, like when I was watching it, I didn't say it in the video, but the fact that Abel did not want to interact with Kinger, I was like, because if he interacts with Kinger will reveal that all this is total bullshit. So it's less of a, I can't face him, and more of a, can't, like, this plan only works if he's not included. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to think of another moment. It's when Zooble and Gangle are talking to Kinger and kind of giving him all the information, and Kinger has this kind of the same thing with Cain, this like, what are you talking about? And, for Zooble and Gangle, they think it's just like, yeah, Kinger's not all there. He's not really following, but it is just more, he's in the dark. So he's like, who the fuck is Abel? What do you mean? There's the fact that Abel does not, like, stays behind when they all go to the console and says to Pomni, like, I know you'll make the right choice, and then says it again, which is the thing that tips Pomni off, like, okay, no, I think this is bullshit. Oh, I remember the other thing I was going to say, back to the, like, driving thing. It's because I was like, there's been at least some foreshadowing, I think, in the show, like, possibly of this. Like I had said, Gangle getting hit by the car. I don't remember if there was anything in episode 2 involving, like, the car and the truck that's maybe a hint to that. But also, when Kinger steps out, there's maybe 2 things in this episode that hint to that. There's when Kinger steps out into the light and... No, sorry. I think when he does that, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. But when he's going before Pomni into, like, Cain's office, he's like, now, Pomni, like, just because I have the right of way in a 4-way intersection doesn't mean you have to go first. I'm like, it is car related. And people not knowing the right of way is something that could lead to an accident. Maybe. There's also the hand, because the admin passes are hands that, like, look like this. And I was thinking to myself during my first view, I'm like, why does, like, this feels important, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know, it's like a golden hand, like the Midas touch. I don't think so. I mean, they all, like, hold hands at the end, but I don't think it's that either. And then on the second viewing, I kind of thought about it as like, when you have your hand like that, is that just saying stop? And on the one hand, there's a part of me that goes, this might be Cain almost kind of subtly telling them, like, stop, don't do this, don't leave me behind. And as much as he says at the end of the episode, he's like, oh yeah, like I didn't put much thought into what happens if you push the blue button to leave because I knew you'd never pick it. I don't buy that. Like, I think that's a lot. When Abel says Kane will commit to any bit, I think that's the truth. I don't know. I don't trust Kane when he says that. It almost kind of felt like a subtle, you should stop. But now I'm also thinking, sometimes you will see that on a stop sign rather than just like the word stop or the hexagon. Like, I feel like I've seen that. Is that was there a car accident? Were they all in a car accident? Because again, I'm like, I don't think so, because then why are some people there like a lot longer than others? But at the same time, you're like, well, that is possible. Because maybe like during the accident, some people were in way worse condition than others. So, sorry, brain stop for a second. But like some people were in worse condition and had to go on life support sooner. And then other people, they just worsened and then they got put on life support. So it is a possibility. I think now I want to rewatch other episodes. Like, is there anything here I could see as a hint to them being all victims of the same car crash? That kind of gets to one of my other things about this episode. It's been 51 minutes. Oh, boy, vey. This was episode 7 of 9, and I still don't really know what's going on in this show. And even if they didn't leave, this still could have been an episode that's like, okay, here is a lot of what is actually going on. Here is a lot of lore. Maybe you're not going to learn everything, but you are still learning a lot. And by the end, because we don't know how much of Kane's bit was just a bit and how much of it was not true. Because again, Kane will commit to any bit. Either he was like, all right, I'm throwing in all of this foreshadowing that is going to lead you nowhere because I've been cooking this adventure for a while, or a lot of this is real and I'm committing to that. I just hope you don't leave me behind. I'm like, so I still don't actually know what's happening. And this far into the show, with an episode that, because I didn't know what was going to happen in this. It's not like this episode was teased to be super lore heavy. Maybe it was, I don't know. But an episode that was written as super lore heavy to just at the end go, no, maybe, but no, kind of bothers me. And it's giving me Darling in the Franxx flashbacks, because that was a show where, like, I didn't like it at the start. It's like, this is okay. And then as it went on, it's like, okay, I'm starting to dig this. I think there's an interesting world here. Like, these bits of lore that we're getting and this world building we're getting is really interesting. Man, I can't wait to learn the backstory and, like, what is happening. And once I did, the show went from really interesting to, I hate this. Wow, this does not work. And I really, really don't want that to happen here. To be perfectly honest, I don't think it will. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried that we're still being kept in the dark. So yeah, I didn't like this one. I'm hopeful that this is just, for me, like just a blip on the radar, and then the next episode I'm gonna be like, no, yeah, episode 8 was phenomenal, and then episode 9 was the absolute peak. They saved the best for last. Like, I just didn't care for episode 7. The rest of the show is fantastic. But, yeah. like, that's it. Like, it's been an hour. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about it. We'll see.